If you serve a master, then you are a slave. So no, I'm not talking about working for a boss, because even the self-employed, they work for a boss, which is now the customer. What I'm talking about is this understanding in philosophy that you cannot have a master in philosophy. What it means is, in philosophy, you need independent thinking. You need to be objective. That is why a person like Arthur Schopenhauer, for instance, said that genius is to have the completest objectivity. So if you have a master, uh, you cannot be independent, you cannot be objective. And what am I talking about here? On this channel, often enough, I've criticized religion, for instance. So if God is your master, that has a negative effect on the society as well as on the individual. Just very briefly, as I've explained in my other videos, the first thing that goes is that um, a religious society does not promote its citizens to be truly educated, because religion cannot thrive in a truly educated society. So it's not in the interest of religion to have a truly educated society. The second thing that religion doesn't like is facts, reality, the truth. It doesn't like reason and logic. And that is why, for instance, generally speaking, the more religious a society, the less scientific that society is. The more religious a society, the less philosophical that society is. So that is the pitfall of having a master like God. The more religious a country, the more intolerant it is. Um, And in a democracy, where one would hope that in a democracy people come together and they decide what is best for that democracy, and it's about power sharing, uh, when a society is particularly religious, they are particularly intolerant, and what tends to happen, it's not about power sharing, it's about power grabbing. Because the intolerance, uh, they cannot stand for the other party to be in power and to listen to what they want in life. And here again in America, for instance, isn't America, for instance, one of the most intolerant societies on earth? Um, and and that comes from religion. It comes from that political situation where, for instance, the Republican Party, they their base is the religious base. Appointing, for instance, judges becomes a political power thing. They want judges who's not a good lawyer or independent and have integrity. Now that is not important. What is important is the judge that is appointed must now follow through on uh, the promises made to the religious political base in their society. So in that way, you cannot have independent judiciary. And isn't that exactly where you want independence, objectivity? Don't you want your judge to have the completest objectivity? Certainly in America, that is definitely not the situation. So, a judge, if you want to become a judge, it's not good enough to be a good lawyer and to have good, integrity. What you need to do is you must throw your hat into one of the political parties' hats. You must let it be known that you are a Republican or you are a Democrat, and you must now become political to even be appointed as a judge, which is a very strange way of doing things. Um, and contrary certainly to the ideals of philosophers who came up with this idea of democracy and power sharing and the independence of the judiciary and so forth. Um, Let's talk about, for instance, journalism. Uh, isn't not uh, a good thing for a society, for its journalists to be independent, for the journalists, to whoever is in power, to be a watchdog, to see that those people in power do not abuse their power, that there's no corruption, etc. Now, what happens in America is uh, the TV stations, for instance, for them it's all about ratings. Uh, that is their master. So they don't care about providing objective news, independent news, and good journalism. For them, it's all about the ratings. So, and if your base is the religious conservatives, then you must now give them stories that they will like so that the ratings can go up higher. Never mind if those stories are not true. So in that way, if you have a master, out of the window goes independent thinking and objectivity. And that, I'm afraid, is the big problem in America at the moment. And I want to suggest it's because of the lack of philosophical influence. Because in America, philosophy, certainly the influence of philosophy, I don't think is that great. The type of philosophy that has taken hold in America is basically pragmatism, which I also dealt with in another video, but which basically just say that if it's working, then it's true. If your personal truth is that God exists, then God exists. If your personal truth is that Santa Claus exists, then it's true. If you serve a master, be it God or some political ideology, then you're a slave to that, and you lose your independence, and then it's very tough for you to be objective and to have a proper reason and logic, because reason is all about taking an argument to its logical conclusion. And if you serve a master that already says this, then obviously your whole thinking is going to be tainted, and there is no question even of being objective, independent, and striving to follow an argument to its logical conclusion.